Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Welcome to the newly remodeled Brass Lantern. For over 30 years, we've been serving delicious food to excellent people. Brass Lantern takes pride in authenticity, serving fresh, homemade food to please any member of the family. From mouth-watering to one-of-a-kind steaks served with gourmet marinade, to salad with our signature honey mustard dressing, specialty fruit tea, drafts, and much more. Our food is always prepared daily. Whether you come in with friends or family, you'll appreciate that fresh is better.
Working with Gina was great because she really knows this area. I gave her the specifications of what I was looking for, and she took me right to my forever home.
I met Gina when she sold my son's home within 5 days after it hit the market. With my home, from the day the sign hit the yard to the day we signed the papers, Gina was there every step of the way. Her involvement in the sale of my home was the best decision that I made.
We never felt like Gina was pushing us to make a deal with a buyer. She knew what we wanted, and she worked diligently to get us the best offer for our properties.
Working hard for my clients to make their dreams come true. Let me work for you.
You know, Storing Lee Furniture is not just some huge chain store, but we do have a 144,000 square foot showroom right here in Leoma, Tennessee.
The Story family has worked together in the business now for 55 years.
And a familiar face is here to help you with whatever you need. That's what being a part of the community right here in the Tennessee Valley means. And if you have an issue, we're right here to take care of it. And don't forget free delivery. We invite you to come see us. We're Storing Lee Furniture.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Welcome here to X Sports Live, brought to you by C&B Linen. We are joined by the reigning, defending, and undisputed Class 2A Boys State High School basketball champions here in the Loretto Mustangs. Head coach Greg Tipps, Kason Bowie, Jackson Robertson, Corbin Reynolds. Guys, thanks for coming here tonight. And first question right off the get-go, has it hit y'all yet that you're state champions, or are you still just on cloud nine right now?
A little bit. I mean, it's still kind of hard to believe, but it's getting there.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great feeling to have.
Yeah,
it's feel really good. I don't think I ever come down from it.
I still can't believe we went undefeated. I think we all had high aspirations as far as winning the state championship, and knew it was going to take some good fortune, but I'm still shocked by the undefeated part, I think.
It wasn't just kind of like, it's just basketball. At some point, you're going to trip up here and there. It's just kind of how it goes, or is it that's kind of what the shock of going undefeated is?
Yeah, basketball is such a crazy sport. You can do everything right and miss shots, and it costs you. And another team, you feel like you really shut them down, but they had a nice night making shots. It's such a long season with sickness and injury, and then I think we all had our uh-oh moment when Mason went down. And if you were to tell me, and I thought our two best teams, they may disagree, I thought the two best teams we played all year were our final two. And it was fun to see them respond and really go to a different level. But I really thought Mason was probably, 50%, guys? I mean, we couldn't put him in the post anymore. Couldn't use him as a handler. He went from guarding one of the top two players to guarding the worst one. If you would have told me we were going to get through that with him being limited, although still finding a way to help, I would have, I don't know, it was a bit hard for me to believe.
Yeah. Are you guys shocked that you went undefeated this year?
For sure, yeah. It was pretty tough. It was.
Yeah, me and Grayson, first semester, were sitting in fourth block, and we was looking at the schedule when it first came out, and we was like, we got a chance, but it'll still be tough.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked, to be honest with you. There's not a game we went into I wasn't confident we wouldn't win.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. But Coach Tibbs has talked a lot about me mentioning it in our goals. And to be honest, whenever I said it. I didn't know if I believed in it 100% either. It was just a high standard. We just have high standards, so I wanted to set that.
Yeah. Corbin, you brought up a good point. This confidence that this team had all year long. Even when Mason goes down, you can tell that this team was confident and you guys were going to find a way to win. Was that the feeling around this team all year long?
Oh, yes, sir. You see, like, we won games in the 30s, we won games in the 70s. We could always find a way to win a game.
Yeah. And I think that was the beauty with the team. We could find more than one way. We could play fast. We could play slow. We could grind it out on defensive end. And I think that's really what helped us was we had so many ways and so many different guys that would step up, whether it was off the bench or whatever. It was just truly a special group of guys and like I said, the last two games, I feel robbed a little bit because I would, especially after the last two games, I would like a healthy Mason and to see what it would take to beat these guys. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I would really like to see that because I just felt like the last two games we really took another step, just seeing them live and how they responded to it, and even doing it with Mason, who was, he made an impact, but we ran so much ISO stuff for him, put him in the post so much. He's 65% field goal shooter from two, that was out the window. Yeah. I would really like to see these guys even step it up and play someone else. I wish we could play the 3A state champion and the 4A state champion just to watch these guys respond a little bit more, but I guess that's getting a little greedy.
No, I'd really love to see you guys against Upperman because I watched the 3A championship game after you guys
left. I know
left.
how their coach feels about it, and he loves our team. Yeah. The Hillsborough game would be the one I would want to see us because, we beat these guys 135 in the regular season, but we scrimmaged Whites Creek and Cane Ridge, and they won both those games too. And I know Cane Ridge, one of their games in particular, was really close with Hillsborough, and I would have liked to see this team compete against that.
And Stone Memorial, you beat them, who's in Upperman's district and all that. So that would have been a lot of fun between you all. But you talk about Mason, and he plays with the bad ankle, and you also got to remember in baseball, he hurts his elbow, and he goes out and he hits a home run in the state championship game. Just for everybody, just talk about his toughness and what he's able to do.
He's having arm surgery tomorrow, so I want everyone's prayers for him. But I go over and watch Summertown Loretta baseball game last night, and they let him get in at bat. Yeah, there, and he rips a single. I mean, it's first at bat of the season, only bat of the season, I guess. It's just Mason. That don't surprise them. It's just Mason being Mason, and he's a special athlete.
Yeah, same for you all.
Yeah, he's a big competitor. It's almost to the point where he almost tries to one up you, just because he can do it. I never forget. I got my first windmill one day. Yeah. And then, I don't know where he gets his first one, too.
We've never even seen Mason dunk, and Corbin goes up and just punches it. My son, I think I'd already left, and my son sent him a picture, and I was like, "Well, that's a nice dunk by Corbin." And then he sends me one of Mason. I was like, "When did he get above the rim?" And he's doing all this. It's just he is a one-upsman, I guess.
But it's a good problem to have on your team. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a dog.
Mason, you can have one of the best games of your night, and you drop 30, and then you look at the stat sheet, and Mason's got 33, 32. It happens.
That's just like a joke between the team. We'll be like, no matter how good of a night you think you have, you look at the score sheet.
Mason will have more.
Mason has 10 plus more points than you.
Does he trash talk you all, or is he just he wants to see your reaction after the fact on the stat sheet?
It's just Mason being Mason.
It's just so quiet.
Yeah, I don't even mean to do it.
You go back and watch the video that's been reposted of everybody celebrating, and Mason gets a few "let's goes" in, but I mean he don't show much emotion.
Silent killer.
Yeah.
He's like Larry Bird, like he used to do back in the day. Someone would get 50 and Larry would get 55 the next day. But you mentioned the two teams. How tough was the state tournament? You step up in competition, you play on the big stage, and also these are three very physical, high energy games. How tough was that for this team to go through that?
I'll take the first one, and y'all can take some. I was worried about the Liberty Creek game. Just because they're extremely well coached. I know how much time they put into watching us. I'm talking months. I was really worried about that one because they had so much time to prepare for us and really respect their coaching staff. I was worried about that one a great deal. Going into it, I wish we were playing Tyner first because I knew what they were going to do. We really didn't know a lot, what direction Liberty Creek was going to play it. So I kind of wish that was flip-flopped. But so going into it, there was some, angst about it. And then it got down to where it was just we just got to be us.
Yeah.
Y'all take some of those.
Watching film on the teams, we can kind of base what we're gonna do off of that, and we already know before Coach Tips comes out with the matchups. We already know who we're gonna be matched up against watching film, and I can speak for myself. Watching the film, I didn't think Liberty Creek could really compete with us, but as Tip said, they did have a great coach. They had 9 days to prepare for us. So and then what y'all got about Liberty Creek?
That's how it is with a lot of games. Like I'll think they can't play with us, and then he'd come in and start coaches. I'm like, I don't know. Now I'm a little scared.
As players, in the hotel room, we turned the games on the TV and was watching them, and we was like, oh, well, we can do this, and that, and then we come out and it's a completely different game plan that he's drew up. So.
But it does work, so
it does.
I think Alcoa surprised you guys.
They did.
Yeah,
I think Alcoa was better than what they thought.
We didn't look too much into it, but throughout the whole year, we would look at their scores and it'd be like high scoring games on both sides, and it's like they don't play any defense.
They were definitely the team we watched all year. We expected to play them, but.
And I think that was one thing that was neat. A lot of times, some of the best teams don't make it just because it's basketball or because of injuries. I felt like, honestly, and they may tell you they thought we were number one. I watch a lot of it. I thought we were the second best team in the state last year up until the injury that Corbin had. But the best 3 teams in the state all year in AA was Tyner, Alcoa, and us.
Right.
That was the 3 best teams. And for us I'm glad we got to prove ourselves. At the time I wasn't, but I'm glad we got to prove ourselves against Tyner, and then having to play in a physical game.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, it was physical. Yeah. And then having to do it 24 hours later against an Alcoa team. And I think if you ask them, they thought it would be that. I remember popping it on one weekend and watching the Alcoa game. They're playing Oak Ridge, and they beat, Oak Ridge was in the 4A state finals, and Alcoa beat them once and lost to them once. This game, they lost to them by 3. And the Alcoa announcers, it's early in the fourth quarter, and they're talking about us.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this team's in Knoxville. And I think that's what that number 1 ranking did early on. Yeah. Everyone that I was trying to get film on, I would call coaches, and it was like, Coach, man, we've been watching y'all play. And I'm like, man, y'all are in Tellico Plains, or some team in West Tennessee, and y'all are watching Loretta. And I think that's what that ranking did. I think that's what the point differential did, kind of a fuss about us. And it definitely made it more of a challenge than what I'm used to.
Yeah, and that Alcoa game, I told a lot of people it's one of the best high school basketball games I've watched in person. For you guys, it was a physical. The officials called it like a Division I basketball game. I mean, they let you all play, and they let a lot of stuff happen. How hard was that game, and different than other games you guys have played this year?
It was tough for sure. Coming out, they were probably one of the more physical, up in our grill teams that we played all year. And then, we just had to empty the bucket and give it everything we had. And as Coach Tips always says, you got to empty the bucket. But it took everything we had.
Yeah, we were talking about it. We seen the ball pressure, and I was like, no way they're getting up into Corbin like that. Or no way they're, because I said that we didn't think their defense was that good, but really getting out there, that was the most physical team, and the way the refs were calling it, it just made it even harder.
Yeah, their physicality really surprised me. Like coming out there, even we played Tyner, they're not as athletic as Tyner, so we should be fine holding the ball, and they got in our grill. I'm like, whoa, hold on. But,
and I think the one difference with them is everybody else we played this year, I think we were probably the best team they played. With Alcoa, you could make a case we weren't. They had played Oak Ridge, they had played Knoxville West, they had played Bearden. They played teams that were ranked in the top 5 or 6 in 4A. They played abundance of them, so they weren't scared of us. They'd won the last 2, and I really thought they punched us in the mouth. Now, we were down a ball handler with Mason.
Right.
You know, Mason was a mismatch for them. We knew that from I knew that from watching them all year. They had nobody that they were going to have to expend a lot to put on these guys, you know, in Grayson, but they had nobody for him. So I think that helped them. But the physicality in that first half was crazy. Something changed in the second half, though.
Yeah.
Officiating was, I don't know if they got a talking to at the half because, you know, you got to pack a punch to knock this guy down because he's dribbling, and he was getting bodied up pretty good. And something changed in the second half, and I think our mentality changed in the second half.
Yeah, and you guys did a great job all week of making adjustments. Not only you as a coaching staff, but you guys as players, because it always felt like every time I saw your opponent like kind of almost get a grasp, you guys would make a change, and everything would flip. And the second half of that game against Alcoa is a good example of that.
Yeah, I think our guys had to decide if we want to worry about officiating or do we want to push through it.
Right.
And at halftime, they wanted to push through, and that's just something about this team. Their competitive grit is off the charts, and I think that's what made them so special.
Yeah, and Corbin, you took on a huge load, obviously, with Mason going down, but you've taken on a big responsibility all season long. Point guard, you're guarding one of the best guys on the court. Just talk about your role and what it's been on this team this year.
I mean, my role, it's not more important than anybody else's role. You know, I'm just out there to win a game. You know, whether that's handling the ball, defending the best player. You know, I just want to go out there and win.
Yeah. And we got to talk about that block, man. You got the big block. Walk us through us there, because you know they were going for the win there in overtime, and got that big block that sealed the deal.
I mean, it was, once again, it's a crazy feeling. But like, if you watch the video, I've watched it. I don't know how many times now, but like, for a second, like I watched him, like he lost me for a second, and like he rose up, and I mean, I blocked it. There's not much more to it. I touched it, turned around, see Grayson has the ball, and everything came out.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We played a good guards when he was in 7th and 8th grade, and I was coaching them at that time. And it seemed like every time we played really good guards, his length was the separator.
Right.
And that Cherry kid is really good,
Yeah.
and it's great for us that in that last second play, his length was the separator between the two.
Yeah. And it's the first time I saw you smile on the court in the entire season. You talk about Mason being stone-faced. You have the same expression, whether you're winning by 50, down by 10, at the same time. You're just.
What's funny is like everybody like after like the set time was like, you showed no emotion on the court. I thought throughout the whole year I had emotion. I thought there was a lot of emotion. I thought I was out there like smiling a lot, but I guess I wasn't.
No, you look pretty good. I'm not saying it's a negative bad whatsoever. And you guys got the tournament MVP right here in Cason, and Cason games 2 and 3. When the team needed you there, I thought you brought out the best in you there.
Yeah, watching Tyner, I knew they were very physical down low and all over, so I knew coming in I had to really be the most dominant down there. And then the last game, I really didn't even know. I looked up and I had 14 boards and I had no clue. I was just out there playing, trying to give it everything I had. So.
What's something interesting you just said was we had the MVP. What we also have is the district MVP, region MVP,
right.
and state tournament MVP. It's just, I think, another testament to this basketball team.
Depth. All across the board, with what you can do and all the different scoring. I mean, it's for you as a coach, it's great. But the thing that I was impressed with this team all season is how well you guys work together. You had a different leading scorer every night. No one got jealous of each other, and it was so impressive to watch how this team worked together from day one.
Yeah, and I think I'm paranoid about a lot of stuff. We really made sure we weren't sending out tweets and Facebook posts about who scores what.
Yeah.
They'll tell you that.
Yeah.
None of my guys are sending out tweets or hey, I had a double tonight, or I had this and that. We really, the only thing we ever celebrated as a team was either wins, 1,000-point baller, and Grayson's 10,000-point baller, whatever you got. And then some postseason stuff.
Right.
They've done a really good job of staying level-headed, and I'm really appreciative of that.
Yeah, and Jackson, man, I thought you played your best the last 4 weeks of the year. I mean, Grayson comes in, obviously things change and everyone's roles change, not completely, but a little bit. But Jackson, your role changed, and I thought you handled it really well, and I thought you were playing your best in the last 4 weeks of the year.
Yeah, and the role change, I didn't really think it would change that much adding Grayson. Yeah. But as we started practicing, we started playing, I was like getting the feel of it. Yeah. And I'll be completely transparent here. Coach Tips. Sorry, I keep on saying Tips. But
you win a ring, and now he's referring to him last week.
You're a senior, right?
Yes, sir.
You can say whatever.
We would always talk about role players and great role players, and I'm sitting there thinking in the back of my head, I do not want to be a role player. I really don't. Yeah. And then as I took on that role, it didn't bother me one bit. Thinking back on it, it would have bothered me, but dude, just playing out there, competing with your boys, doing anything you can to win, I mean, it's just great. It didn't bother me one bit.
Do you remember the tail chewing you got the day before the region semis? Do y'all remember?
I do.
What happened?
It was
did I get my tail chewed?
I mean, yeah, sort of. You had the ball like under the goal, and you didn't shoot it.
Oh yeah.
Basically, kind of got into you about it.
So it was kind of mixed with a little confidence problem too. Yes. I had to get my confidence.
He's one of the best finishers in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
And so my thing was with him, and I saw it leading up into some games, and I appreciated him being a role player. Yeah. But then a couple times it happened there in practice, to where times where he got the ball, where he could do what he does best. And so I jumped him a little bit about getting his confidence back, and that just because he was buying into a role doesn't mean he can forget how to be a good player. Right. And my analogy with him was, if Peyton Manning throws the ball 60 times, he's going to be labeled an accurate passer. Yeah. Just because he's only asked to maybe throw the ball 10 times that game, don't mean he still can't be a really good passer. Right. And so it's very ironic that the next night, and a credit to him, I think, he started finishing that practice. He had a really good end of that practice. We had Mason go down at the half at that next ball game, and Mason already had 18, was probably going for about 40 because they couldn't guard him. Right. In the second half, he has 12, I think, in the half, region finals. So everything happens for a reason, but it's just another example of one of our guys responding in the right way. And it shows you that he put it out of sight, out of mind, because he couldn't even remember it. But it was I'm really proud of him.
He remembered the important part, which is to put the ball in the basket when you got it under. He remembered that part of it. You guys mentioned rebounding. I thought that was you only got out rebounded twice, all season long. And I knew you had 14 rebounds because Brent was screaming in my ear all the time, "Bowie with the rebound!" So I knew that you had. I looked up and I was like 14. I'm like, man, I could have swore he had way more than 14 because it seemed like you had the ball in your hands every time. But rebounding that's another unselfish part of this team. That's your point guard. He's crashing the boards. This role player crashing the boards. He's crashing the boards. Maintenance every night. You guys are everyone across the boards averaging 5 or 6 rebounds.
And we'd be remiss about Colin Wilkerson, who's probably maybe our best offensive rebounder. I'm really looking forward to watching his development next year because he's I think the confidence that he gained, and we definitely wouldn't be where we got to with him and with our other bench guys. With what they provided for us.
Colin he is sneaky good. He's most of the time the smallest guy on the court, and then all of a sudden he's skying up to get all those offensive rebounds. What kind of an energy spark was he throughout the year, guys?
He was a big energy spark. Last year and the years before, Colin would come into the game and you could kind of see that he was just nervous. He was just scared to be out there a little bit. And I would talk to him. I'd try to bring his confidence up. And what game was it? Was it the Liberty Creek game or the Tyner game? Mm-hmm. He really stepped up big. I was really proud of him. Yeah. I made sure he knew it too.
Yeah, I was really proud of him the whole state tournament because, what he said, you see Colin come to the game, he's just a little nervous. And, he's really good. He can good shooter, good rebounder, good defender. But sometimes he gets in his own head. And you got to just tell him, hey, you're good, you're fine, you got this. And he was able to do that in the state tournament. We're really happy for him.
Yeah, Colin's probably easily one of the, if not the best bench player that I've ever played with.
Yeah. The most athletic on our team.
Or you'll ever see.
You'd be shocked to see how high he can above the rim. Crazy.
I've seen some of those offensive rebounds. Like, how in the world is that guy going and getting?
gets up quick.
He's like just slithers through there, and the sky's up above him. I love watching him play. And then and all of a sudden you find him open in the corner, hits a three, brings energy to everything. It's a lot of fun to watch him play. And guys, you each season now you've got a spring state championship with baseball. You got a fall state championship with volleyball. Now you got a winter state championship with basketball. How crazy is it in your town right now? Because you guys are bringing home some sort of trophy every season.
I hope these guys aren't getting spoiled by it, but to have a student body that has so many state championship rings at one time, and it's I was there coaching girls when we had one ring since '58. And state championship. I ain't coming around here, and all of a sudden it just goes. Baseball team started in 17, and then, we got it in 18, and then the volleyball team got it in the fall of 18, and you get the girls basketball team, then you get the baseball team again, then you get volleyball with us, and you get this, and it's awesome. It's awesome for our young people. We've got to go through the schools and the preschools. You hope that success breeds success. I know I had a couple young kids that were dribbling a basketball out in the driveway when I left to come here. So I know they're inspiring other athletes, and that's super exciting.
Yeah, and I know you're a junior, you two here are seniors, and how fulfilling is it? You go on this long journey, freshman year, go through everything you go through, and you end it in your high school career with the state championship. How fulfilling does that feel?
It's pretty nice, First freshman year, we get put out the last second shot. Second, my sophomore year.
He's hurt.
Yeah, Corbin's hurt. We don't have Corbin.
Junior year, he's hurt.
Yeah. We get put out on the last second shot last year. It's just there was no better way to end it than the way it did this year.
Yeah, it was kind of good the way it worked out though, because all those years prepared us for this year right here. Like our sophomore year, I can remember Coach Tips will come in one day and we're like, it's like a day before a game. My sophomore year, his freshman year, we sophomores and freshmen, and I'm like thinking, what kind of game plan is Coach Tips going to come up with today? We'll put in some crazy defense and run it the same day, and it really just prepares. That I feel like that's what made us who we are, like how we can play different styles of basketball and compete with other teams like that.
Did sometimes when you see teams when they go into a building like the Murphy Center, I always call it, because I've been doing this for 20 years now, they get in the big building and I call it bright light syndrome, and all of a sudden they panic. This group didn't panic. It was almost like you guys were at Collinwood on a Tuesday night. That's what it felt like watching you guys play out there in the Murphy Center.
Well, honestly, pre-game, like when we first walked out there, I was a little nervous. I bought a floater, I bought a 3-pointer one time, but once we got to game time, I was situated, got my airballs out the way, and I was fine. Yeah. Besides the Tyner game, when I airballed a free throw, but we'll forget about that one.
We showed one thing. Anybody that says you have to be a good free throw shooting team to win a state championship,
I wasn't going to bring that up.
We disproved that. We did make enough, though.
You made enough. You guys did. I mean, I wasn't going to bring that up, but I thought the important thing is, they struggled early, but crunch time, I don't think you all missed one.
Colin again, that Tyner game was huge with free throws, and then these guys all made enough.
Right. Yeah. All three of y'all hit big free throws down the stretch. So, it's you guys are sitting. Final question: you guys are sitting on cloud 9 right now, feeling good. Just kind of just express the thoughts that you guys have in your heads, and how special this team was. How can you guys wrap up this year and everything here?
I'll finish it up.
Yeah.
Well, my thoughts right now is I'm still happy with one state, but just that we won't play together again. And it's a little sad thinking like that, but it's kind of hard to think about it sometimes. But it just pops up.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm still kind of processing it that it's over, because these past days, that's really all you can think about, and then you start really I couldn't cry after the game.
I was getting ready to ask you that question.
Yeah, and then I just couldn't. I was so happy, and then sitting here thinking about it, it's like I kind of get teared up a little bit, and then I don't even know. Like, it's just weird. It's a weird feeling to have. It was such a great season. I couldn't ask for any other team. I mean, going out there and competing with this team right here was just the best. It was great.
Jason.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great feeling. When the game was over, cried like a baby. 4 years, and it's over and the way it ended. But I was doing good until first day back to school. I walked in the 5th block, and I have Kylan, Cooper, Draco, one of our other managers, and Zach, a freshman. And that's all I've got with me.
Yeah.
I don't have Jackson, I don't have Corbin, I don't have any of my boys that I've been with for 3 years, and it's a little tear-jerking at times.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, I haven't cried. Definitely had tears in my eyes when I go back and watch the game. And what gets me is seeing their emotion when they've done it. Seeing Grayson throw the ball in and just
that
throw the ball up,
me.
And then seeing our
My
fans, seeing our fans and how happy they were, and then knowing that I'm not going to get to coach this group as a whole anymore. We'll overcome it. We'll find a way, Corbin. We got work to do for next year. But this team was definitely a special team. We knew we were going to be special, though, I think. I think we talked about it. In November, our goal wasn't to necessarily win a state championship. They wanted to be remembered and, and go down as not only one of the best basketball teams that's ever come through this county, but one of the best teams that's ever come through this county. And it would be hard to argue against them. I mean, they're the only state champion that's ever gone undefeated. It's the point differential, the dominance in which they played. I thought they played the game the right way. Just really proud of them. And, but I want to coach them forever. Right. And I was walking into church Sunday and somebody congratulated me, and I was like, yeah, I know, I wish I had practice tomorrow. Yeah. That's the way I feel. I wish we had practice tomorrow, but these guys have done something special. They're going to have a bond forever that we'll all have, and it would be very selfish of us to want them to be high school athletes all the time. Right. They're going to be successful. They're going to be great parents. They're going to be great fathers. Or husbands. They're going to be pillars of whatever community they go to, and I'm super proud of that. But I'll never forget the things that made this team special. Yeah. And I'm so thankful that they just didn't rely on talent and that they squeezed everything out of it. They trusted their talent, but they knew that they had to be coachable. They knew they had to be unselfish. They knew they had to push themselves to the brink, and they did that. And because they did that, they made history, and that's what's getting them to the state capitol. That's right. What caused people to fall in love with watching them play. And I'm happy for these guys because they deserve that.
You guys absolutely deserve it. It was a great season. It was a lot of fun for all of us to watch this year, and you guys are certainly going to be a team that's going to be remembered, not just for this year, but for a very long time. Like, thank you guys for coming here, and congratulations, and live it up, man. It's these things don't come around all this often. Your coach over here knows it, and it's enjoy it while you can. It's going to be a great feeling, and get all the free food you can across town while it lasts. All of the free food.
And I do want to say that people have been great to this basketball team. I love how much people love these guys. Right. I love that, and people have been so generous, and it's just I think they know, and I think they felt the love that people had for them, and I think that helped inspire them. And I just want to tell everyone we appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thanks for coming by, and congratulations on a great season. Coming up next, Hayden and I are going to talk about our busted brackets, or actually just Hayden's busted bracket. That's next here on Exports Live, brought to you by C&B Linen.
Welcome to this week's Florida Mid-South Realty Player of the Week Spotlight, proudly partnering with Exports Network to celebrate local excellence in student athletics. Congratulations to Kaysen Bowie, your tournament MVP. Not only did Kaysen dominate on the court for the Loretta Mustangs, he also makes Florida Mid-South Realty history as the first ever two-time Athlete of the Week recipient, a well-deserved honor for an incredible performance. Now, Kaysen, don't forget, you are now eligible for our $1,000 year-end win Amazon gift card giveaway. To enter, snap a selfie holding your award, send it to the address listed on your letter. Yes, even a selfie like this one will count. Be sure to catch us every Tuesday at 8 a.m. for our Florida Rockstars live podcast, rocking the real estate news and all things local. Just scan the QR code to join the fun. Brought to you by Florida Mid-South Realty, your trusted team for professional real estate services. Call us today at 931-762-4247. This has been a Florida Mid-South Realty Athlete of the Week Spotlight, where local talent shines and community comes first. At Florida Mid-South Realty, we pride ourselves on our family values, professional service, and a deep local knowledge. With a small town feel and a personal touch, we're here to help you navigate the real estate process with ease. Whether buying, selling, or renting, you can trust us to guide you every step of the way. And don't forget to catch Florida Rockstars, our live podcast every Tuesday morning at 8. Florida Rockstars, rocking the real estate news and all things local. Florida Mid-South Realty, your hometown real estate experts.
Did you know that Resource MFG, an employee bridge company in Lawrenceburg, is the first and largest national manufacturing staffing company? They work alongside the top plants and facilities in the area to provide you with job opportunities in production, quality, maintenance, supervision, and all levels of management. Resource MFG has positions open right now to meet your needs today and a full staff ready to work with industrial partners to grow opportunities for this generation of workers and the next. Reach out today and start your employment journey with Resource MFG.
Cell phone plans at an affordable price? Only at LE Wireless. When they say wireless for all, they mean it. With yearly plans as low as $5 per month, they say it's the best $60 you'll spend on unlimited talk and text. Ask about their monthly and family plans. They will succeed in meeting your needs at a price you'll love. And no need to go elsewhere for accessories. Already a customer? Their referral program can put even more money in your pocket at LE Wireless, located at 300 Ellingson Street in Lawrenceburg. Call today and ask about their free phone promotion.
Hi, I'm Robin. I'm the worship pastor at Mars Hill Baptist here in Lawrenceburg. I'd like to talk to you just for a minute. You know, when we're watching sports, we understand that before the game, a lot of other things took place. There's a lot of practices and a lot of hard work that goes on. Also, when we see somebody physically fit, we know that that just doesn't happen. Somebody that had to be self-controlled in their eating and disciplined in exercise. You know, the Bible tells us in 1 Timothy 4 that our physical is of value, but what's even more valuable is our spiritual health. And it also tells us that just like our physical, we have to be disciplined and we have to train ourselves for godliness. So I just want to ask you, what are you doing for your spiritual health? Are you disciplined to be in the Word, to understand who God is and how He wants you to live? Are you disciplined in your prayer life? Are you disciplined to serve others and to share your faith? Well, at Mars Hill Baptist Church, if you don't have a church home, we'd love to walk through you together in life as we learn how to be more like Christ and be spiritually healthy. We have services Sundays 8 and 10:30 and on Wednesday nights at 7. We'd love for you to join us.
A Moment in Real Estate with my dad, Jeff Hood.
You know, I get asked a lot about what the market's going to do. How's the real estate market? I've been selling real estate for a long time. And nobody has a crystal ball. And you know what? When it's your time to buy or your time to sell, it really doesn't matter what the market's doing. It's your time, and you have to do something maybe. What makes a difference is the agents and the experience that go to work for you. We're Keller Williams Hood Company, located here in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. We can help.
Hood Company, powered by Keller Williams, the #1 name in real estate.
Make your property rock and roll with services from G&S Excavating, specializing in white sand, compost, mulch, topsoil, landscape gravel, and steel landscape edging. Turn to the pros who know how to make your project shine with years of experience. The best part is they're locally owned and operated. Choose from a vast selection of mulch and rock from their conveniently located facility at number 3 Valley Road in Lawrenceburg, just off Buffalo Road. Phone 931-279-3841 and get started today.
There are now more ways to save at Quick Mart. Become a Quick Club member and easily earn rewards on qualifying purchases at Quick Mart convenience stores using the Quick Club app, available on the Apple App Store and Google Play. To save on fuel for work, use the Fuel Rewards Pro app to earn 5 cents a gallon on work fill-ups and redeem the savings for yourself. To get started, visit fuelrewards.com/pro or download the app in the Apple App Store and Google Play.
Shop McMaster's Home Gallery for furniture, appliances, and more. And shop quality, shop convenience, shop service, shop local. A family-owned business with a long history of serving the region. We're a one-stop home furnishings destination. We feature brands you know, competitively priced, backed by professional installation and service. You can trust that we'll take good care of you before and after the sale. For your home, shop smart. Shop McMaster's Home Gallery today.
Being raised in Tennessee, we believe in the importance of family and community. Creating a positive experience at our family-owned and operated business is one of the ways we share that belief.
Being in an accident can be extremely stressful. When it came time for my repairs, Mashburn's made it easy.
I am lucky to have a wonderful company in my community like Mashburn's Collision Center. It's reassuring to know that I'm in good hands because their work is second to none.
We pride ourselves that the Mashburn name is one of the most trusted in Lawrence County since 1981. Mashburn's Collision Center. Let our family take care of yours.
From our humble beginnings to today, Parks Lumber Company has continuously served Lawrence and surrounding counties for over a century. Although we started as a small lumber yard in 1896, we have grown to include everything you need to make your dream project come to life. No matter your building needs, our experienced staff will be with you every step of the way to ensure you receive the highest customer service and attention to detail you deserve. Visit us at 106 2nd Street or on Facebook. We guarantee you will see working with PLC is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X Sports Live, brought to you by C&B Linen. Hayden Burke's about to join me here in a second. No Clint, no Dusty tonight. They're having their annual colonoscopy, so everyone say a prayer for them. They're going to be walking a little gingerly.
I've been praying for you guys lately.
They're not really getting colonoscopies. It's
hope not.
They're at their annual convention, which will be said secret, whatever that is.
I don't know what's going on that they're doing.
Just secret clubs.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they won't even share with us what they're going on. But
it's almost like some eyes wide shut thing that they got.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if it might be because of me or something. I mean, I haven't been here. It's like been 4 weeks since I've been back at this desk. So we've been in Gulf Shores and then the state tournament and the 2 weeks of state tournament. Yeah. So it's been a while since I've been back, but it's good to be back at the table. Though.
So let's get into the guys that were just here a little bit ago and. Hayden, it's that was a special group, and it's funny that they say Corbin didn't say that he was shocked, but the rest of them were kind of shocked. And Hayden, you've watched a lot of basketball, you've been around it at the college level, and for a team to go undefeated, 35-0, it's a rare feat. Just because it has nothing to do with the team, it's just basketball. Sometimes the ball just doesn't go in the hole. Sometimes the game's officiated a different way that's just not in your favor. Sometimes a guy from the other team goes off for 50, and you're guarding him perfectly, and he still scores 50. The game of basketball is just weird, but the fact that they went 35-0. And faced some of the best competition in the state and won every single game. It's one of the most impressive things I've seen.
Absolutely, at the college level, and I think at the state level when it came to who they played and all that stuff, I looked at you got the best out of everybody. Mm-hmm. And I mean, whether it was early in the season when they're playing certain teams and they're beating them by 70, and then they're beating other teams by 20. I don't know what their points per game margin win was.
Biggest in the state.
Yeah, biggest in the state. I'm for sure about that. But it's everybody. It's one thing to win a state championship, and that's hard to do. Yeah. But to go undefeated, that's not going to happen often at all. And I mean, and that's at any level. That's not at high school. That's not at professional level or college, that is going to be, I'm not going to say once in a blue moon, but you're not going to get it very often.
Yeah.
You got to have a special group.
Right, and that was a special group, and they added Grayson in the off season, and like these guys said when I asked them about the roles changing a little bit, but like literally you were at their first game.
It was, yeah,
and
against Franklin County.
Against Franklin County, and everyone was watching in anticipation how this team was going to work. We got different guys in different roles. You had a player that had 1,700 points coming into his career, I think, or he might have eclipsed 2,000 by that point. How was this going to work? And then you watch him play, and it's like, wow, this is seamless. And they made more adjustments as the season went on. Had to make an adjustment in the region tournament when Mason goes down. It was just so impressive. I'm like, this. It's like they've been playing together their entire lives, is what it looked like.
Absolutely, and earlier in the season, we all had high expectations for this group. They played Franklin County, beat them by, I think it was like 40 points. I can't remember. It's been so long. It was their first game. Yeah. And then, everybody, they'll ask the question, okay, like, how are they going to compete against, like, a district team, as in Summertown and Lewis County? Then, you play a Stone Memorial team, a really good Stone Memorial team, too. And then you get to play in all those bigger 3A schools and 4A schools. Like Coach Tips was saying, they can – I'm a firm believer that they can play with a lot of those teams. And
we saw Upperman in person.
Yeah.
And I saw Upperman in the state championship game against Tullahoma. There's no doubt in my mind that they can not only hang with them, could probably beat them.
Yeah, they could probably beat them. And, it's just kind of, it's like you said, it's how the ball falls sometimes. Sometimes you're not hitting, sometimes you are hitting. Sometimes the other team, like you said, the other team has a kid go for 50, like, maybe a Ty Cobb or something like that, which is a stud in the whole state. Yeah. But then again, it just goes back to just the testament of those guys having they had a really good team last year, and they kept saying, had some injuries, and it just kind of was one of those things where they kind of shut the book and had just the storybook ending of their season going 35-0, and just that's just props to them, and it's special for them. And like Coach Tips, it's one of those things where when you got a special group like that, and from my, when I was in college and all that stuff, being the manager for UT Southern and all that stuff, it's one of those bonds that you're never going to forget. And that's one of those bonds that they're never going to forget. And this whole town and community is all going to be behind them. And like you said, they need to get as much food as they possibly can to take it in, because you earned it. You earned it.
And when Corbin said that he's not going to get the play of his brothers anymore, that kind of hit me hard, because this hat right here, I got to be a part of 2 state championship baseball teams when I was in high school. When he said that, I'm like, man, that hit me, because I remember walking off the field at Wapow Park in Charleston when we won it my junior year, back-to-back years, going, man, I'm not going to ride the bus with these guys anymore. We're not going to prank our coach. We're not going to do our routines in the dugout. We're not going to say our jokes. This is the last time we're all going to be on the same team together. That hit me kind of hard right there. I'm like, man, here's this 40-year-old guy. That happened 22 years ago, but it still hits me now to this day that I miss playing with those guys.
I mean, it really does hit home. Of course, then again, I didn't play at the high school level, but I knew that feeling sucks. It really does, not to for you to know that you're not going to be able to have those bus trips, or have those hotel, like playing your video games and PlayStation in the room and all that stuff, and having those moments that you had for 4 to 8 years or however long you were playing basketball for. And and I've been, like you said, you've been out of high school for a long time. I've been out of high school for 4 years, going into 5 years, and every time, this is why I always say, like, whenever it comes to a senior's last game, take it in, because it sucks, and I know how it feels. Like, I tell everybody, that's the worst feeling, one of the worst feelings in the world. So, but then again, they can take it as a good note, as in, like, yeah, it sucks, but then again, you did something that probably will never be done for another probably 17 years probably, because that was the last time it was done before. So, just nothing but props to those guys. They did an unbelievable season. I got to cover a lot of their games, and it was really fun to watch those guys this year.
And you go into the glass house, and they heard me talk about it. I talk about it all the time with you guys, and I've seen it in 21 years of sports media. There's one specific example. I had a team I covered in Southern West Virginia, 35-0. They go into the state tournament, opening round game, shoot 11%. in a 15,000 seat arena. Now, there wasn't 15,000 people there, but they go in that big arena, shoot 11%, lose by 5. The team they lost to goes and wins the state championship. So to watch this team go in, and yeah, you could tell they had a little bit of early jitters, but that maybe lasted a handful of seconds. Then they realized it was a basketball game. They handled the big environment, they handled the noise, and they handled 3 really good teams there: Liberty Creek, Tyner, and Alcoa. Those 3 of the better teams I got to see all season long.
They did, and going back to what you said about being in those big arenas, I promise you, high schoolers don't see that often at all, especially with those rims as well too, because most rims in high school, they're hanging from the ceiling. Right. Those are one of those that they actually push. Yes, it is. It makes it look higher, and then the lights, the lights are a whole lot brighter on the court. The
rims are a little bit different.
They are. They don't have as much give to them behind them and all that stuff. But going back to what you said about the getting ready for the game. Overall, I think. You're going to have those jitters coming in the game, and that's everybody though. Right. You're going to have those jitters of, okay, we got to win this game to get the next round, and everybody's going to have that. But then again, I think once they got in between those 4 lines on that basketball court, it was all business. They're fine. They were fine. It was all business, and I could. They look like the same team we saw previous to throughout the regular season, postseason before that.
Big question. I actually thought a lot about this on my drive back after Saturday's game. For you, and I'll get it on my end, is this maybe the best boys basketball team you've ever seen?
I've seen a bunch of good boys basketball teams. That 2018 Loretto team was very good. I was there for that region tournament a few years ago with Collinwood, Wayne County, Summertown, Loretto.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I wish I would have been here to see
my goodness! I wish if there's video out there, please, if y'all could share that with us, that would be amazing.
I want to watch it.
Oh my gosh, those were the 4 best teams in the state in Class Single A in that region. But I think I'm with you. I think that's the best team that Lawrence County's probably ever seen.
Yeah,
I would say, in my opinion, from going back to. When I was growing up watching middle school and then being with high school and just seeing the teams come a little bit, whenever I was in college and all that stuff, I'd say from what I've seen so far, that's the best team I've seen.
I got to see a team when I was working in West Virginia that had 3 future NBA guys on it. They didn't go undefeated because they were playing a national schedule, but they still won a state championship. Saw a girls' high school basketball team that had 2 WNBA stars on it, Alexis Hornbuckle, Renee Montgomery. They went undefeated, won a state championship. One of the best teams I ever saw that didn't win a state championship had Jason Williams, a.k.a. White Chocolate, and Randy Moss on it. So you had, you had an NBA All-Star and an NFL Hall of Famer. They didn't win a state championship, so I would put this Loretto team above that just because they did win the state championship. And then there was a team I covered in Georgia that had 3 Division I guys and a first overall NFL draft pick on their team, and this 6'7" dude, Walker's his last name. I always forget his first name, but he was the first pick of the Jags a few years ago, and because I'm like, man, but just like how they work together. They're in my top 5. I don't know where I would rank them 1, 2, 3, or 4. And I
have to go back and watch it.
They're definitely one of the top 5. They might be one of the top 5 high school teams I've ever got to see in person, just because of, you go undefeated, you play the competition that you played, you work so well together, you had different circumstances coming into the year that you didn't have before then. And it just worked, and they just work so well together, and you can tell that there's a really good bond between those guys.
Well, it's the old saying as in there's no I in team, and they bought into that at the start of the year.
100%.
I mean, before, we all knew the expectations were high for this team, but I think they just took it to a whole new level with how everybody bought in. Let's put egos to the side. We're not worried about him getting all of his points. We've got one goal, and their goal, they had 2 goals. They had to go undefeated and to win the state championship, and they completed both of those.
Yeah,
so, I mean, just shout out to them.
Incredible. It was so much fun watching them play from start to finish and getting to watch all the games and watch the adversity of Mason going down, which, Bob, how tough is that kid?
That is tough as nails. Yeah,
playing at 50%. He hurts. He's having arm surgery today. Shout out to him today. Shout out to him, Mason. We hope you're doing well. You recover from it and get back as quickly as you can. But he's hurt in the baseball state championship. It's a home run.
Yeah, I remember that. I watched the game. Yeah, incredible. I was there. Yeah, that was unreal.
And then he's out there playing on this bad ankle all 3 games. He first game he struggled. Second game he hit some huge shots that really kind of started to separate them and Tyner. Then hit some big shots in the second half against Alcoa. I mean, he is unreal. The toughness on this kid.
I went to my buddy's house to watch the championship game, and I got there late. I was there for the second half though, but I was watching. It was like I was listening, and then I was also watching as well on the NFHS thing. And I saw whenever Laredo was making that run, and Mason hit those 2 big threes back to back. And I'm thinking for this kid to have a hurt elbow, dealing with the hurt ankle, and to probably, in my opinion, that 3-pointer in the corner was the biggest shot of the game.
No doubt.
Yes, that, in my opinion, that was what got them back in the game and eventually got them to the win.
And it's one of the best high school basketball games I've ever watched in person.
I remember you sent that text we were talking about before the show started. I went back, I was watching the second half, and, I got to thinking about it. I'm thinking, man, they are letting them play. I mean,
it's you've been around, and I've gotten the pleasure to call a lot of UNA basketball men's and women's this year. That was officiated like a Division I basketball.
It sure wasn't.
And if you're sitting up in the stands and you're not used to a game being called like that, it looked like football out there.
Yeah.
You're familiar with the college side. I'm familiar with the college side. I remember Brent Malin looking at me off air a couple times like, were those fouls? I'm like, well, if that game's in Loretto's gym, yes. But if you're putting that, if this is MTSU against Jacksonville State on this floor, no, it's not.
Yeah, I mean they're going to let those guys play because I'm I don't want anything to get too excessive. Which from what I saw, if it got to that point, then they start dialing back down, and then once it got back down, they let them go back at it, and that's what it's all about. I mean, then again.
Let the players decide.
Let the players decide, and the officials for those 2 games for the boys' side, unbelievable. Yeah. They did a great job the entire week. Yeah. So
shout out to them. What a great season, and man, a lot of fun we had. Gotten to be around that this year. Also, let's give a shout out to Wayne County. Their boys making to the state semifinals.
Yeah, that was big.
Good run there. Came that close to playing for the state championship game, and that team. Had an incredible run, and Camfield, and I always forget the other kid's name that keeps hitting all those threes.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
I know he was going off in the state tournament as well. So shout out to them, and I'm going to give a shout out to Bryce Clift. I know Dusty gave him a lot of crap about not being an assistant baseball coach last night. It's all in good fun. He's not being serious about it. But so Upperman wins the state championship, and they play Tullahoma, even though Tullahoma beat them in the region championship game.
Shout out to Tullahoma, too.
Yeah, shout out to Tullahoma. What a great atmosphere that place was, because, Alcoa and Loretto was packed, except, there wasn't a lot of people in the end zones. But when I came out after the press conference and, the whole building was packed, it was, perfect. Tullahoma fans on this side, Upperman fans on this side. But, shout out to Bryce Clift for coming up with the only game plan that shut down Ty Cobb. What did he score in that game against 12?
12 to 14, maybe.
He was averaging around.
And they're probably, I would probably say 8 of them were legit points, and the rest probably came from free throw line.
Yeah,
so
he had a dunk, a floater that broke the tie with under a minute.
And then probably the free throws were late game situations.
And I text Bryce during the game. I go, why in the world no one is recreating your game plan? Then again, I didn't watch the region games, and I didn't watch any of the tournament games, but I'm watching Ty Cobb with the ball, and I'm seeing Tullahoma switching, and they would literally get it to where they would get him on their worst defender, and he would take it to the hoop or hit a jumper, hit a three, and I'm like, guys, Bryce Cliff literally just
showed you,
gave you the game plan to beat this team, and they almost did. And I've thought about that game so much after watching that game, going, oh my gosh, Upperman almost didn't come here.
Yeah.
And Lawrence County almost knocked him out because that game was tied with a minute left. And, me, you, and Dusty were all feeling it dude, they made this big comeback. They're going to do this. They're going to knock off the number 1 team in 3A right now.
I mean, it's just and that's what Bryce does. He's really good at getting the guys to buy in as well. Because I mean, Upperman, we all knew who Upperman was. We all know who Ty Cobb was. And, just kind of, we were concerned about, the travel of going to Upperman, it being about a 2.5, 3 hour drive just to get there. Yeah. How are the boys going to respond? They got off to a slow start. And all of a sudden, here they come creeping their way back in. Mm-hmm. Wes hits a big shot. Here comes Alex down lane, lays it up. Aiden Stevens came in huge off the bench there for him.
Tucker hitting big shots.
Colton Tucker hitting big shots. And, like you said, I keep going back and, think what could have been. But then again, if I'm other coaches, I'm thinking, okay, I was joking. I think with you and Dusty on the way back, I said our viewership's going to be pretty high tonight because I guarantee a bunch of coaches are watching that game.
Yeah, which I get. I didn't see what happened when they played in the region games. I know Tullahoma won, but I was just watching that going, why aren't you all running the box and one?
Yeah.
I mean, he literally laid out the game, and maybe Upperman made adjustments before then, but it was just. And I was looking at some of the scores. I'm like, man, they look like they absolutely struggled against Lawrence County.
Yeah.
And not everywhere else. Not saying it was an easy road to get there. It certainly wasn't the case, but it certainly looked like, man, he had a game. He had laid out the blueprint.
Yep.
From what I was watching on Saturday, someone wasn't following.
Yeah, sure was.
Again, there's probably a lot that happened from that point to them. But Lawrence County played both of those teams. They went 1-3. They lost all 3 of those games by a combined 21 points.
Yeah.
You beat Tullahoma at their gym. You lose to them in overtime. It was your largest loss was to them in the district district semifinal.
I think they lose by 12, something like
10.
that. 10.
It was 10,
yeah.
And a lot of that could probably be contributed to some really bad intentional foul calls, some really, really. I mean, I don't say this lightly, but there's older gentleman that was officiating that game that probably needs to retire.
I'm sure
it was one of those. I think everyone in the gym was like, "Yeah, that's."
I'm
thank
sure,
you for your service.
I'm sure that official probably wasn't invited to the glass house to do the state
He was
level.
not. No,
Yeah.
And from what I saw at the glass house, I thought everything looked pretty good. But
Yeah.
then again, when you watch as much college ball as you have, and I've seen a lot as I've had this season, nothing really shocks me.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Yes.
they let them play a lot.
I've seen 4 years of, that's a great call, and then I've seen 4 years of, that's an awful call. That's such a bad call.
Yeah, if they're going to, which I agree with how they handle things in that championship game. It's like, let them play. Let the players decide.
Let them go.
And, they didn't get everything right, which they're never going to.
Yeah.
And I thought they handled it well. Let's switch things now. We're in the spring season, and you spend some time at the beach, Hayden, watching Lawrence County baseball, softball. Summertown softball was there as well. All 3 teams, I think, did a pretty good showing down there this past week.
They did. They showed out for Lawrence County's schools this past weekend down in Gulf Shores. I think Lawrence County, they went 2-3, or no, I'm sorry. I think they went 3-3. I think they won 2 games they went 1-1 on Monday, yeah, and then went 1-1 Tuesday. And then Wednesday went 1-1, and their last loss was to Summertown, which, like y'all said on the show, I went back and watched it on Wednesday night, or was watching it whenever I got back to the hotel room, about how Clint was joking around saying, they haven't played in 10 years, but they had to go down to Gulf Shore to play them. But
they were supposed to play them.
Yeah, they were supposed because of the weather and all that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, they did really well. Summertown looked really, really good. Beat a very, very good Dixon County team. Right. That was a very impressive win on their standpoint. And Lawrenceburg, they played some good competition down there. They played some probably not good teams as well, but we'll put that out of the way. But then again, that Prattville Christian Academy, that was a really good baseball team. That was a great test for them, and Clint sent both of us a text about them being the second-ranked team out of all 50 teams that were invited down there for that week.
4-2, I think.
4-1. 4-1, yeah, because they went on that. I think it was 1-1 going into the top of the 6th. They scored 2 runs, and then after that, they put 1 more on the top of the 7th and just weren't able to close it out. But still, they showed great performance by everybody. The young guys stepped up big. Truett Kid had a great weekend. or a great week down in Gulf Shores. Jake Moore had a really good week. He had a lot of RBIs. Brooks Durham. I mean, basically anybody that was inserted in the lineup did their part in a big way down there. So that's something to look forward to the rest of the season coming up into district. Well, Lawrence County, they had 2 big wins against Giles County. Right. So that's they're riding the momentum wave for sure.
Summertown, Loretto, and baseball split this past week. Summertown, it's funny. Summertown won at Loretto. Loretto comes back and wins at Summertown. So I'm fixing to see a bunch of classics between these two in the district and region tournaments.
Yeah,
which will be here before you know it.
Before you know it, yeah,
flying by in a heartbeat. So
yeah, I think with that district I think it's up in the air for who the best team in that district right now is. Of course, then again, neither one teams have seen Lewis County. We know what Lewis County is bringing back. They're bringing back a really good squad. Summertown got a really good team, off to a good start. Played some really good teams as well down the stretch. Played a really good Hardin County team. Loretta is getting their guys back from basketball season, so they're going.
Deceiving.
Yeah, that record is deceiving. It might say 2-8, but trust me,
It doesn't matter until you get. They're 1-1 in the district. That's all that matters right now. And
once you get in postseason, you're 0-0.
Yeah, it's 0-0, and I'm sure some of those other teams are going. They're the defending state champions. I'm like, wait till you get on the field with them.
Yeah,
be a different story.
I say, just you think you're overlooking them. You just wait until May comes around. They'll be ready to go.
We're going to be very busy.
Oh yeah, we're already busy, and I can't wait for it. Yes.
Someone asked me the other day at a gas station, and they're like, "So, you getting a bit of a break?" I'm like, "No, I'm on my way to a baseball game right now."
Somebody texted me. They're like, "Well, you happy basketball's over?" I'm like, "Yeah." Well, I mean, I love basketball, but then again, just getting ready for the next season. I'm like, no, because I've only probably got a weekend off, and then I got baseball coming up on Monday.
We ended football and volleyball in 1 week, and then we literally got a week off. And basketball started the next week.
Yeah, so I would say probably our biggest maybe break is probably Christmas break, just because most teams are not probably playing. Because spring break, they're always doing something. Outside the summer. So those are our 2 breaks. But then again, it's every sport is fun, and I'm glad about basketball and ended on a great note with all of our teams. They had really good seasons, and baseball and softball is looking even better for all 6 of our teams.
We're busy all year long. You know what? That's a good problem.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have.
If we're struggling to find people to get them to all these different places, that means you guys are really good.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a good problem to have.
So it's a good problem to have a good team.
So we're going to take a short break, and we'll talk some NBA, some college, and some wrestling. That's next when we return to Your Next Sports Live.
At C&B Linen, fast, friendly, and reliable service is our promise to you. Because you're not just a customer, you're family. From multi-use linen to branded floor coverings and a complete range of cleaning supplies, C&B Linen is here to make sure you have everything you need. From our high-quality products to our fast, friendly, and reliable service, you'll experience the difference with C&B Linen. Because you're not just a client, you're part of our family. You'll be winning with C&B Linen.
Got a dent, a ding, a scratch, or a bent fender? Major or minor, Car Country Collision Center in Leoma can fix you up. Car Country works with all insurance carriers, gives free estimates, can work on foreign and domestic vehicles, and has experience you can trust. They've been in business since 1990. Unfortunately, accidents happen, but you can get your car back on the road with as little hassle as possible with the help of Car Country. Call 931-852-4708 or stop by at 2567 Highway 43 South in Leoma.
Hey everyone, this is Landon Saunders.
And this is Nate Patterson with Cloud9 Fiber.
We're excited to finally be able to offer Lawrenceburg our blazing fast, reliable, and affordable fiber internet services.
If you're looking for a more reliable and more affordable provider, we at Cloud9 Fiber have you covered.
Plans start at $50 a month, and we can offer up to a gigabit to your home or business.
We are excited to be able to offer your first month of service entirely free. We encourage you to sign up on cloud9fiber.com or by calling 931-201-9098 so we can help you make the switch today.
What really matters during the ball game, as a coach, you have one goal, and that is to get the best and the most out of each player. You have to know what's inside of them to be able to get that out of them. In Ephesians 3 and verse 20, the Bible says, "Now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than all we ask or think, according to the power that is at work within us. There's a power within us. God is trying to get the best out of us. Will you let him today? And that message brought to you by your friends at the Leoma Church of Christ.
LUS is committed to our customers, from providing and maintaining energy-efficient utility services to friendly, helpful customer service. LUS is there. At LUS, we're always challenging everything we know, every day. We strive to improve efficiency and reliability while focusing on our responsibility to our customers and the community. It's our promise to provide dependable service to our customers every time. Because we don't just work in Lawrence County, we live here too.
Since opening our doors in 1904, Builtwell Bank has existed to be the local economic engine for the communities we serve. No matter if you're buying a car, saving for retirement, or finally buying that forever home, Builtwell Bank is here to help. From personal checking and savings accounts to a full suite of business and commercial banking with treasury management services, we'll make sure you'll have a dedicated Builtwell banker that understands your unique needs and stands by you every step of the way. No matter where you are in Tennessee or Northwest Georgia, there's likely a Builtwell Bank location nearby. Come see us and let our dedicated financial team help you with all of your banking needs. Member FDIC.
A local law firm respected throughout the state. Generations of clients have turned to Boston, Holt, and Durham since 1948. We assist individuals and businesses with their legal needs, including real estate, property closings, personal injury, employment discrimination, and family law. Our clients get the personal attention and convenience of a hometown law firm with the resources and ability to handle any case. Come see us at Boston, Holt, and Durham.
ArcticAir keeps your home or business comfortable. For more than 20 years, we provided outstanding residential and commercial services through southern Middle Tennessee. Whether you need assistance with your heat, air conditioning, preventive maintenance, or anything in between, trust our reliable team to get the job done. We'll take the time to figure out your specific needs and recommend what we believe is right and best for your situation.
We've been using ArcticAir for over 15 years now. Their service is great, they're here when we need them, and their prices are competitive. They take the worry out of the heat and air so I don't have to.
ArcticAir, when you need us, we'll be there.
For high school athletes, every game counts. You push your limits and you chase your dreams. But when injury strikes, you need more than just recovery. At Southern Tennessee Orthopedics, we're here to get you back in the game faster and stronger. From cutting-edge treatments to personalized and compassionate care, we're here for your every move. Our specialized team of experts encompass decades of experience in sports-related injuries. Dr. Paul Thomas, Melanie Durham, and Julie Marcus offer the most comprehensive care from diagnosis to recovery. With advanced treatments and tailored rehabilitation plans, we'll help you heal stronger and faster. Trust Southern Tennessee Orthopedics to keep you at your best because your future is worth it.
Got primary care? Find your way to better health with primary care by One Stop Medical. With decades of combined experience, you'll find a one-on-one relationship just like the old days, but with the convenience and technology of today. When One Stop Medical does primary care, it's the best. Call today for an appointment and find your way to healthy living. Serving Lawrenceburg, Pulaski, and Hohenwald. Phone 931-244-8220. Primary care by One Stop Medical at its best.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome back here to X Sports Live, brought to you by C&B Linen. AJ Good joined alongside by Hayden Burks. Dusty and Clint have gone on a wilderness adventure together. They're learning to hunt and fish. They're trying to be hunter and gatherers again. They're in some weird group that does weird things like that, and they just they couldn't make it tonight.
If y'all see the big fella and Clint out there somewhere, just be alert.
Be alert.
Out there, yeah.
They're Clint hasn't.
Don't ask questions, just be alert.
Clint hasn't been to the Sunrise Bakery in a while.
I know. He's angry.
He's detoxing right now.
Yep. I'm waiting for a text message.
By the way, can you imagine those two together in the wilderness? Like if you gave them okay, we'll give you $100,000
just to last a week or something.
Last a week. Like, we're not going to give you any supplies. You're going to get a tent, but you're going to have to go out in the woods here somewhere in Tennessee. How long would you think each one of them individually would last?
Oh man, that's funny. We'd have to get a camera crew out there to just catch their every their conversation, all that stuff. Sam following around.
He might avoid Dusty and not that Dusty leaves after 2 hours.
I honestly, in my opinion, I think Clint would outlast Dusty. I think Dusty, I don't know if he gets bit by mosquitoes, but he said, "I'm so sick and tired of these mosquitoes," and then he just goes home.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to go to the house.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, here comes Clint. Where are you going, big fella? We still got $100,000 to win.
Well, I think they could at least last a couple days.
I think they can.
They'll be together. They'll be bouncing stories together off of each other.
They do their podcast out in the woods.
They'll lose track of time. Yep. They're like, well, Dusty, we've been here for 2 days.
Yeah, we've been here for 2 days now.
What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Well, it's about time to go to the house.
Yep. What time's Alabama game come on?
Roll time.
Yep. Can we call timeout and go watch Bama play?
Speaking of, Bama is still alive in the tournament. We've got 3 of my 4 Final Four remaining. Me and you both lost.
Yeah, I'm out with St. John's.
So you had St. John's winning it all.
I had St. John's winning it all. I went off their defensive efficiency, and I just kind of an oddball out there to see, because I've seen a bunch of people picking Duke and Florida and Auburn, and then you got some Tennessee picks, and so I kind of want to go out of the left field and go off of, okay, when it comes to numbers and efficiency. And I just went with St. John's because their defensive efficiency is unreal. And I've seen their defense with several games of how their switches and being able to guard the ball from multiple positions is unreal.
Well, unfortunately, Patino has a Calipari block.
Yeah, he's got a problem with that.
Yeah, he got a little problem with that. They were in my Final Four. You haven't winning it all, but they're my Final Four. Sorry, Tennessee fans. I have Houston winning it all. I know you guys got to, if you make it to the Elite Eight, you got, but
I'll be happy if they win it.
Being a Big 12 guy, I've seen a lot of Houston this year, and that team is, whoa.
Yeah, they're legit.
Pretty stinking good. But one thing I want to bring up, Hayden, we've had, I think, our biggest upsets was a 12 seed and an 11 seed. I don't know. There's just something about this tournament. All the big teams are winning. Now, some of these games were close, but it just kind of feels like Cinderella after what we saw a couple years ago when, FAU and San Diego State and Miami coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of feels like Cinderella kind of died.
Yeah. I mean, you had Oral Roberts several years ago.
Fairleigh Dickinson.
Yeah,
my wife picked that in. Still
over Purdue. Who was that? St. Peter's, the 15 seed that beat.
2 teams.
Yeah, 2 teams. Princeton. They beat Arizona a few years ago. Yeah. But yeah, I think I saw something on SportsCenter or something. Jay Williams was talking about it, and it goes back to NIL that I think we're going to be seeing some of these Cinderella stories not coming together. And I'm not saying it's bad for basketball, but it kind of takes away from the fun a little bit, just because all these big high D1 majors are getting all these big players. I mean, it's cool to hear background stories of these smaller teams, where these players came from, coaches, I mean, this is big because you look at it. McNeese's coach just got with the new NC State head coach job. Xavier,
coach goes to Iowa.
He goes to Iowa. Xavier's coach, after beating Texas to get into the tournament, and goes to Texas.
And then they take New Mexico's coach.
Yep, and goes over there. Yeah. So, I mean, there's just a bunch of puzzle pieces to put it together. But then again, I mean, like I said, I don't think it's bad, but it just kind of takes away from the fun about it because you're looking at all the teams and you're thinking, well, you kind of expected all the teams that are in the Sweet 16. You could see why they got there. So. It's not as fun this year, in my opinion.
You touched on a point. I saw this graphic a couple times on X or Twitter, however you want to put it. Like they put the Sweet 16 teams where their 5 starters started.
Yeah.
Like 15 of the 16 I literally couldn't figure out. The only one, one of them you could because Michigan State has 3 of their 5 that started there. Everybody else, I mean, it's just. Like, there's so many orange tees on all these starting lineups. You don't know which one's Tennessee. The only one you could figure out was Purdue because it had 5 Purdue logos on it.
It did. It sure did, yeah.
So they're the only ones, or all 5 starters started at that school. Everybody else, I mean, but you bring up a good point. It's so hard for fans. I know, like, Tennessee, you guys have had some guys that have stuck around.
Yeah.
You get a couple new guys here and there. As a West Virginia guy, we've had 3 different starting lineups the last 3 years. Yeah, we're getting ready to work on our 3rd coach in the last 3 years, but I mean, it's hard for me to get any sort of investment into any of those guys, and I think a lot of fans across the country are feeling the same way. It's hard to invest in a team when it's brand spanking new every year. I mean, the NBA doesn't even have those problems.
Yeah, I mean, it's the transfer portal has been an issue when it comes to players, especially getting paid now with the NIL and all that stuff. I mean, you could play at Duke one year and then say, oh, well, I'm North Carolina. I'm going to pay you $10 million to play come for me next year. Then you play there, and then you get another deal. And I mean, it's just just kind of leapfrogging everywhere, all over the country. And it's hard to invest in a team. And like like you said, shout out to those players that stick around and want to build something and win a title for that program. Like that's why I'm a big fan of Sagai Ziegler, and getting those guys like Chaz Lanier and Dalton Connect. Those are big for your programs. Guys that come from smaller schools too, and that's what I like about it too. You're getting guys that nobody knew who Dalton Connect was at the JUCO level. Northern Colorado. Yeah. Then he comes to Tennessee, and all of a sudden he's a first-round pick. He's a first-round pick and doing big things for the Lakers as well. Yeah. Even though they don't want him, but that's a whole nother story. But then again, it's a testament to some of these. Yeah, LeBron and JJ Redick. Yeah. But it's a testament to college basketball and just player. I'm glad it hadn't gotten away from players not like sitting out and hitting just the transfer portal immediately. We've seen some instances with that. I saw something where a Michigan player, I think it was Scottie Pippen's son or something.
Scottie Pippen Jr.
Yeah, he already entered the transfer portal even though their team's in the Sweet 16.
And he's still playing.
Yeah, and he's still playing, so that doesn't make sense. But I'm glad college basketball hadn't got to as bad as college football's gotten.
At some point, the NCAA, I know that they're trying to figure out a plan here, but at some point they're never going to be able to put the lid back on the can of worms.
Yeah.
But at some point they've got to do something because this is like, I don't think they realize it. And this is nothing against the players. You have the opportunity to do this in your organization. The NCAA is allowing you to do this. I'm not taking this out on the players. They can go freely wherever they want to go. Coaches can go freely wherever they want to go. But at some point, there needs to be something done, whether it be contracts. Well, if you want to make this like pro sports, well, guess what? You sign a 3-year contract. You got to stay at that school for 3 years.
Absolutely.
Or the other school's got to buy you out. Or there's got to, I don't want to get into the trades and all that because that
just makes it professional.
That is a way bigger can of worms if you even start to get into that. Yeah. But the NCAA, I think contracts is a good way to go. Yeah. A salary cap, I think is a good way to go. But this is, at some point, there needs to be some sort of lid, whether not how many holes you put on the top of that lid, but there needs to be some sort of lid put on it.
Yeah, and I've thought I've seen indications like, okay, they're about to put their foot down with it, and they kind of warm it up and think that it's going to happen, and it never happens. And so then again, I think they're trying to figure out. I think there's a lot of fans that are trying to figure out too, and just what's the best way we can kind of bring back not making it professional and go back to college.
Right.
I think the best, in my opinion, I think the salary cap is the best way. I don't know if you go by school or programs. Me personally, I would probably go by just school overall because then again, it's one athletic department. It's not just one program after another. So I think each not programs, but each school should have a salary cap.
Right.
Now, depending on what that salary cap is, I don't know. But then again, I think just to put some more leverage back into the NCAA and not make it, this kid Carson Beck's making $4 million down at Miami. He's making already more than a first round pick for the NFL.
Right.
So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I think there needs to be some guardrails,
Yeah.
like you said. And you're right. At certain schools, certain sports matter. Like at Vanderbilt, baseball matters.
Baseball matters. You go to Alabama, football.
Football's on top. Tennessee, it's all over the board.
Yeah, it's all over the board. If you had to pick one, it's probably baseball.
Yeah,
baseball and
baseball's
basketball.
at the top, but football.
Football's a lot of money.
Of millions of dollars, and I can't believe we haven't talked about this as we move into pro basketball. Man, LeBron's been in the news a lot, and I know Dusty and Clint aren't here right now, but we haven't talked at all. Because he was on Pat McAfee's show and he brought it up again. We haven't talked at all about the LeBron Stephen A. Smith thing where he confronted him at courtside. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I haven't gone back to watch the second part. I watched the first part of how Stephen A. addressed it on First Take.
Yeah.
And then, this was on the First Take version. I haven't seen the one where he's on the Stephen A. Smith show
or he's on Gil's or
whatever.
He's done the podcast tour talking about this.
Then again, I haven't watched First Take much. Just then again, I kind of got away from it just because it kind of became more of entertainment than information.
It's not a good show.
Yeah, it's not been a good show lately. No. But it's intriguing because of course, then again, LeBron owns the internet when it comes to NBA and just social media in general. So whenever you see that, it's always going to pop up. Then again, from a Stephen as a father standpoint. 100% you're taking up for your kid and all that stuff. Then again, I don't know all the details about it, but when Stephen A. said that it transpired from, first it was a father-son type of thing, and now it sounds like it's going back to you're hating on LeBron type of thing. That's when the ball kind of goes back into Stephen A.'s court. At first the ball was in LeBron's court, and he had every right to a father-son type of situation. If it goes back into you're just disrespecting me and all that stuff, which I don't think he really was. I mean, everybody praises LeBron. I don't personally, just because I think he's a good role model. Don't get me wrong, but when it comes to his greatness and him saying that, why would you want to be the face of the league? You're the one that is supposedly the heir to the throne. Like, you were put on and told yourself you're the king and that's your nickname. Like, you put this on yourself, and with that whole Ant-Man situation about him being the face and LeBron saying why would you want to, I mean, that just throws away all credibility towards LeBron, in my
Jordan
opinion.
never had a problem with it. Kobe never had it. Bird and Magic never had a problem with that.
They never bestowed anything on themselves. They let their game talk.
I don't have a problem with LeBron talking to Stephen A. Smith about it, but my problem with it is doing it when he did it. Between the third and fourth quarter of a game, it was clearly orchestrated. It was clearly he put Stephen A. in a spot where Stephen A. could not respond.
Yeah.
And the only way Stephen A. could respond is on his TV show.
Yeah.
So you put yourself in that position by putting him in that position.
Because there's going to be cameras everywhere. If you see Stephen A. and LeBron talking to each other, something's going on, so the camera's automatically going to point directly to them.
Right. And I understand it from a father perspective that you don't want to hear someone talking bad about your kid, but in all reality, this has nothing to do with Bronny. This has everything to do with LeBron.
Yes.
Stephen A. was criticizing LeBron because LeBron put Bronny in this position.
Yes.
And though Bronny's doing good in the G League, he's still not an NBA player.
He's not ready yet.
And you're right, he's not ready yet. He could be ready somewhere down the line, but he did not need to be thrust in that position. I'm not saying that's a bad father thing. I'm just saying that the reason people are criticizing Bronny the way that they are, and which is allowed because he's a professional athlete now.
He's getting paid to do that.
And it's crazy here. All these NBA guys, all these players go, well, that's allowed. If you're just criticizing his game, that's fine. Well, that's all we're doing.
Yeah,
and it's fair. And if it's fair, then take it like a man and deal with it.
That's our job as sports media people, because our job is to inform of what's going on, and then again give our personal thoughts of what we're doing. That's what we get paid to do. People want to hear the information we give out, and also what we think of a certain situation. So
we're not criticizing kids.
Yeah, no.
Like the kids you saw up here earlier today, we would never they didn't give us a reason to criticize them.
Not at all.
Whatsoever. We wouldn't do that anyways. But once you become a professional athlete, that's what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Whether you signed up for it yet or not, that's what you signed up for.
You're paid to go to the press conferences. You're paid to be at every, board meeting or whatever you have going on. Any media outlet that comes up to you, you're paid to do that.
Right.
And your response is going to be held accounted for, no matter if it's a good response or a bad response.
And Stephen A. has every right to say whatever he wanted to
Mhm.
say. And, he said that move was weak. I kind of agree with it. I wish that was handled behind closed doors. I think it would have been more productive. It certainly wouldn't have turned into the circus, and it wouldn't have sent Stephen A. on everyone's podcast.
Because you knew he had to address it.
Yeah. Like, what do we always say up here? Don't ever talk trash to the guy who's going to have the mic last.
Yep, that's true.
And when LeBron retires, he's probably going to go away, and he won't be doing a lot of interviews. Stephen A. is still going to be there.
Yeah,
And
Stephen A. is still going to
be talking.
Yep.
And you made the enemy with the wrong guy. Me and you obviously do not agree with everything Stephen A. says.
Yes.
Actually, not much at all. But you certainly don't want to talk trash to the guy who's going to have the mic first, middle, and last, and that's going to be Stephen A.
Yep, that's his job. He's the media, and he is. I'm not going to say he's the face of ESPN, but he has a lot of say of what goes on with that.
Absolutely.
And so, it's like I said, if Stephen A. is involved in something, there's a camera somewhere with it. So you better believe. And Stephen A. said it. He said that I will say what I've got to say, and whether it's behind closed doors or on camera, I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
And he clearly said it, no matter if it was on First Take on his own podcast or another podcast. He said the situation, and, he addressed it. I think he did good because, when it started on First Take, he was saying, hey, the ESPN producer said you need to address what happened. Yeah. And so he said, said, all right, put me on front of the camera. He addressed it and then told his side of the story. And then once he got more information, that's where he was like, okay, now we're going to go back to what I was saying earlier. Because he was addressing the situation at first, and then it came back to, okay, it's not about a father or son, it's about him.
And it goes back to what LeBron has fostered, which is a bunch of weak-minded professional athletes. And it's not just a basketball thing. It's really across a lot of sports where those guys and girls do not handle criticism, which is allowed when you're a professional athlete, do not handle it well, which makes me even more impressed with the three guys that were sitting up here earlier in the show.
Yeah.
Like, number one team all year, had the most eyeballs on them all season long, did not flinch. They took the pressure, they took the criticism, handled it like pros. They handled all that and all those eyes in those big games better than most NBA guys would handle.
I mean, you got with the three guys up here with Case and Corbin and Jackson. You got every team that they played that year. You got the best out of them.
You were their Super Bowl.
You were their Super Bowl. That every team that you played that year said that's the team that if we beat, we feel good about it. You were the target, and that's what Coach Lyon, that's now Austin P., one of the assistants, he was the head coach for UT Southern. He said every time you win, that target gets bigger and bigger and bigger on your back. And so,
the words of Cubs manager Joe Madden, you got to embrace the target.
Yep, now you got to embrace the target. Yep, that's 100% true.
Let's move on to wrestling, and we were talking about it a little bit off air here, and we'll wrap up the show with some wrestling talk. And we're saying we have kind of a weird feeling about. I know WrestleMania's 3, 4 weeks?
April 19th, so we're about 3-4 weeks.
3-4 weeks. We're in. It's weird. Like, I don't feel as excited as what I was a year ago going into this point. And we were kind of in almost the same spot. Like, we don't have all the matches laid out in front of us. We got a couple, but not all of them. But we obviously know the championships, Jay and Gunther. You got Cody and Cena. You got the triple threat, Roman, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. You got another triple threat on the women's side. Those are the big ones. Yeah. Everything else will fall into place, but it's kind of like, man, I should be more excited about this, but I'm just not, and I don't know why.
I think so. With last year, and we've seen it with that WrestleMania 4 documentary. With last year, some of these matches were set for, before the Royal Rumble. Yeah. Like we were going to get Seth versus Punk.
Right.
Then Punk tears his tricep, and then he's out, and then they're having to just reconfigure, and all of a sudden we were going to get Rock versus Roman, and then the crowd switched it where they had Cody, and so just all these things kind of put together, all not last minute, but almost pretty close to last minute, and that's what made that really good and exciting, because we weren't really we didn't know what we were going to expect. Now we kind of know the expectations with some of these matches,
right?
But my fear is either that I don't know, with the first one, Jay and Gunther, I think they've kind of dragged it along. Maybe is what I'm trying to say. I mean, it's been like 2 months already.
Right.
They're trying to drag that feud along. That's why I think that feud's kind of low.
Weeks after Royal Rumble, man, it was like, man, we're all hyped.
Yeah, we're hot.
And then once we were moving into Elimination Chamber. Then after Elimination Chamber, it was like, whoa.
Cody and Cena took over.
Cody and Cena taking over.
And then with the whole Roman and Seth and Punk situation, like the Punk, Roman, and Seth is probably going to be the main event, not one.
Right.
And then Cena and Cody will be the
main event,
not two.
Yeah.
So I think it's some feuds that have been booked way ahead of time, and then feuds that won't have enough of a build up. Because some of the mid card matches, I think there'll be like the women's mid-card matches and the tag team title matches will go on. But we all know like the matches we want to see, and I think some of them have had really good builds and some of them had not so good builds.
I've seen some of the internet chatter about, it's some of these stories are dying out, but then like we'll probably get 2 weeks before it, and then they'll really start picking back up, and then everyone will be like, it just makes me go, okay, I have faith that Triple H is going to do the right thing here, and I think at some point, okay, you've kind of drug some of this out a little bit, but at some point he's going to take it up a notch, and then everyone's going to get pumped for every single match, just like we were a year ago. At least I have the faith that Triple H will do that.
Absolutely. From what we've seen from all the big pay-per-views, we all watched the Elimination Chamber together, the Royal Rumble. We've all been shocked by a lot of things. None of us expected Jay to win the Royal Rumble.
None of us expected Cena to win the Elimination Chamber.
To win the Elimination Chamber. So, I kind of had a feeling with the triple threat. I didn't think it was going to happen just because I thought Punk was going to win. Me personally, and then then again, of course, I was telling y'all that I think Cena should win SummerSlam, but that's a whole different point. But then again, we're 4 weeks away. There's still enough build for everything else. So I'm looking forward to see what Paul Triple H Levesque does, and then we also I'm looking forward to watching the Hall of Fame ceremony too, with a bunch of great legends in there with Lex Luger and Triple H and that tag team. I can't remember. It's like some destruction group. It was in like the 80s. You know who I'm talking about.
Is it Earthquake and Typhoon?
Yes, that group. And then there's one more female wrestler. Yes, Natural Disasters. They're in there, and so I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure there'll be other names. So I think once we get closer to WrestleMania, it starts cooking. And what I've really liked is this international tour they've really done. And I'm I'm sorry that I'll go ahead and probably do my rant off of that. Us U.S. crowds are really spoiled when it comes to WWE crowds, because then again, those international crowds are insane. When Jey Uso opens up the show, they're literally taking 15-20 minutes just yeeting. I mean, that's literally what it is, and it's just kind of like, because we got a feel for it last year during Backlash, and then other ones, the 2 years ago Backlash with Puerto Rico, I think, was it?
The Puerto Rico
Yeah,
one.
that one was amazing.
And then
So
the next backlash was in France.
that crowd was unbelievable. So I really hope they start making this a trend where kind of the road to WrestleMania is like an international trip, because that would be huge and big building wise for for storylines.
Now, moving to the other company, our final point on wrestling. For those who haven't seen, for those who don't want to see,
My name's John Moxley, and welcome to You Know What.
Yeah. John Moxley in AEW, formerly known as Dean Ambrose in WWE. He was wrestling Cope, formerly known as Edge, in WWE, and they had what best to describe a cricket bat full of nails, like real nails. Like how gimmicked they were, I don't know.
They didn't look
But
gimmick.
he suplexed Moxley on the nails, and they stuck in
Probably
his back.
about what, that deep into his skin, probably.
Yeah, he gets up, he's obviously in pain. He wasn't selling. This was a real thing. And they had to call an audible in the ring because they couldn't get the nails out of his back. And the conversation around it, and I agree with it, is, well, what are they going? You cannot top that. No, you shouldn't even have done that in the first place.
No.
But this is where it gets to a dangerous level to be, okay, well, you landed on a bed of nails and survived. What's the next big thing you're going to do?
Yeah.
On TV in front of everybody. What's the next dumb thing you're going to do? I don't say this lightly. I truly believe at some point, it might happen soon, might happen later, that someone's going to do something really, really absolutely stupid and die on AEW.
I mean, it's trending to that point with, we've seen it, Adam Copeland, what was he, broke his leg. And he's like, what, 50, he's at least 50. I know that. He shouldn't be doing those high arcing things. But and that kind of goes to, I think, what they need to do is with those big names like Moxley, he shouldn't be wrestling on,
He wrestles every night.
He wrestles every night.
And his wrestling is awful. His punches are so fake.
Yes.
I'm like, we know it's worked. We know it's choreographed. But like in what fight, in what UFC fight do two guys stand in the middle of the ring and trade forearms?
Yeah, nobody does.
But they do that in every match in AEW.
Yes. Like, why? It's just poor booking.
Yeah.
Then again, I think you're right. I think something catastrophic can happen soon. I pray and hope it doesn't, because we've seen. I mean, they just keep on. Like we have our group text, and we just keep sending just random stuff of how crazy they get. Like stapling somebody's, like that guy's showing his middle finger to one guy, and then just stapling it. And I'm thinking, good grief, guys! Like, what are we? And stapling like guys in the forehead and on top of their heads. I'm thinking that's too much for.
And they literally took a pizza cutter, cut a dude open.
Yeah.
And you know what the next commercial ran was? Domino's.
Like. That's kind of funny. Yeah.
That was the last Domino's commercial that ended up on AEW.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
It was the coincidence was really bad timing there, but I'm like you. I pray and hope that they don't get to that point. But my goodness,
I think they just
teetering.
Yeah, they're teetering with it. And I think I don't know what their financial standpoint, but they might have to have those big names out on there, because WWE, like, you're going to have your appearances by John Cena and Cody and Punk, but they're not going to wrestle on a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown. They're going to go there to cut a promo and get you hyped up and ready to go. The matches you see on, regular TV, on Netflix, on Raw, or on the USA Network on SmackDown, there's a bunch of mid-carders. LA Knight, we see him quite a bit. Jimmy Uso, just some guys to build up that guy and get the crowd involved with them.
And their regulars are their highest grossing merchandise.
Exactly.
Jey Uso. Seth.
LA Knight is one of them. Yeah.
And those are your regulars. They don't need. It's good to have the specialty guys,
but they don't have to. They don't have to be in. I promise you, Roman Reigns and John Cena, two of the best on the mic, in my opinion, within the company, without a doubt. CM Punk as well, and just there's plenty of other guys that they don't have to even wrestle to win you over. They can use that microphone and say, this is what's going to happen, and the fans will be right behind them.
Because in the same week, we had John Cena's first heel promo.
Yes.
Which was awesome.
It was amazing.
That's what everyone was talking about in wrestling. What's the other thing everyone was talking about? This idiot that landed on a bed of nails and got it stuck in his back. So
I wonder, because, with if you're not a wrestling fan, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose, a faction that called the Shield, probably one of the greatest of all time, will go down in the Hall of Fame for sure. I know that, when they do, I've watched a bunch of interviews with Seth and Roman and them all talking, and Seth is like, yeah, Moxley, he's doing a good job over there, but sometimes he acts like an idiot. Yeah. And I'm like, you said it right. And of course, they keep up every now and then. But I mean, he's told him straight up. He said, "You're doing things that I wouldn't even imagine doing at my age."
And Seth and Roman are making more money and got more eyeballs on the product, and they don't need to do that.
And they don't have to. Yeah.
They don't need to do it. Well, Hayden, I thought we handled ourselves.
I think we did pretty good.
We did pretty good. We missed the big fella, and we miss Clint. They're on a cross-country road trip. They're going to a I Love Lucy Fest in New York. And for those who don't know, they're secret I Love Lucy fans. Their man caves it's just I Love Lucy posters all over the walls.
All over?
Yeah, they
on the ceiling, too.
On the ceiling, like they fall asleep. There's I Love Lucy on the ceiling. They do Lucy's laugh perfectly. We're going to ask them to open the show with that next week. So how many more random things can we make up the reasons why these guys are here?
How much time we got?
We can go as long as we want to.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was fun back and being at this table. I just can't wait. I'll go ahead and say I know Dusty's going to, because we did it this time last year. I'm calling out all the coaches again. We need some more baseball merch for this upcoming year. Yes. We're going to need some for the table.
Coach Tips did say on his way out he's going to get us a signed basketball.
Some signed basketball is perfect.
We got from Loretto Volleyball.
Yeah, Loretto Volleyball, 1998 women's team.
We need to get one right here.
Yep.
We miss. How many state champions have we had since the start?
Since this started.
Summertown Volleyball.
Summertown Volleyball, yep.
Loretto Baseball.
Yep, they did last year. We need some baseballs. We need a baseball bat.
We got merch from them.
Yeah.
We don't have a
signed baseball. Yeah, we can get something.
Or a bat or something.
Yeah, or maybe like a white helmet.
Yeah, who else?
Yeah.
I know. Summertown Tennis, they win every year.
So they win every year, yeah. I'm trying to think. I know Loretto Basketball won it in 2018. Yeah.
This wasn't a
thing yet. I'm not sure if we had one before then. We've had Loretto Volleyball was a runner-up 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's a good problem to
great problem.
Yeah, it's a great problem to not remember when our teams won state.
Yeah. We just know that they get really far.
Yeah, they get really far every year.
Yeah. And we love it, and it's a blast. So Hayden, good show tonight, and we look forward to when Dusty and Clint get back cross-country trip and their exploratory surgeries. So that'll do it for Exports Live, brought to you by C&B Linen. We'll see you guys next week.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.